The views and events expressed here are totally whacked and are not necessarily the views of anyone.
Choose your destiny.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Yeah. Woke up. Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub.
King Chaka ENT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services. Doing what we do 3 to 4 nights a week. King Chaka ENT.
I got this.
From the
She
back
starts
seat.
shooting.
That dude was like, ow.
What was that?
Outside the car,
That nigga
deputies'
got
body
popped.
cameras capturing the bullets flying through the air.
We got shots fired
couldn't
up
have been
here.
a straight
We need
shot. It had
backup
to be-
immediately. Start
Are you-
EMS. Start EMS.
What
We got
the
a
fuck?
civilian. We got a civilian hit.
The deputy.
Looks like we got us another hit.
This is copyright.gov, U.S. Copyright Office. More information on fair use. Fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyright-protected works in certain circumstances. Section 107 of the Copyright Act provides the statutory framework for determining whether something is a fair use and identifies certain types of uses such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. Section 107 calls for consideration of the following 4 factors in evaluating a question of fair use: purpose and character of the use, including whether the use of the commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes, nature of the copyrighted work, amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Okay, so anything I use for you guys, hit me up if you want me to remove it, edit it, or whatever. Nothing is used to infringe on anybody's intellectual property. I don't intend on doing that, and I don't intend on profiting from anyone's intellectual property. So I'm glad to edit or delete anything that's any of my videos that I've used of anybody. So that's it. Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whack, not necessarily the views of anyone. How y'all feel? The title of the show is My Ego is a Problem. I really feel like that's true. It's something I've been thinking about, especially today. I just had one of those days. I'm still trying to shake it right now. I apologize for being late. What do you call it? Unfortunate series of events. So, anyways, my ego is a problem. Whenever I feel like, people feel like, what the successful folks, especially in this world, the society that we live in, which I feel is sick, and I might cover that later because there's a guy who was talking about that. Anyways, in our society, it's like, you being selfish, letting your ego take control, it can help you be successful. It really can. That is actually true, you know. But I think it's because we live in a backwards society, but I guess that's beside the point. The point is letting it run the show a lot of times can bring you success. It really can, you know. But for me, because I'm always battling with myself, and I'm always striving to be a higher self, whenever I let my ego take over, I make mistakes. I do things that I didn't intend on doing. I do things that I don't want to do. I do things that I'm ashamed of. And so maybe that's my problem. My problem is being ashamed of these things, like letting them bother me, because I think a lot of people just go through life and whatever they did wrong or, they don't never even look at it. They just keep it rolling, and maybe that's the right way to go. I don't know. What I'm saying is my ego is a problem. Whenever I let it run the show, it leads me down a road that I don't want to go on, and I don't think I'm the only one. I think there's plenty of other people out there that's like me who are trying to fight against their ego. I think we need it sometimes, so we can't completely kill it or destroy it. I don't think that's even possible, really. And I also believe in balance. So if you suppress it too much, then there's going to be something else that's out of whack. So that's one of the problems I think that I've had in my life. People say that I'm too nice, and so I think as a result of that, I tend to get taken advantage of. I just want to be a good person. I just want to set the example. I just want to be, that's another part of it. People think that I think I'm better than others. And I don't. I know we're all human. But the way I carry myself is in a way to hopefully be an example for others. We can be better. Humans, we can be better. We can do better. We can move around on a higher plane. We don't have to, indulge in our lower self all the time. I really believe that. So it's a big reason why I carry myself in the way that I do. I love humans, some days I hate them, but I love them. I really do deep down, I'm a human and I think it's a really cool ass creation that God made. So, I want to elevate us. I think that we can do better. We can be better. And I think that we have been better in the past. I think one of the things that the Bible is talking about is the fall of man. The fall of man. Okay. And I think that that's one of the main themes that's going in there. It's not that we were born as, in sin. I don't believe in that. But us falling from what we could be or what we have been, or, I think that is a thing. So, and then at the end of the day, even if we hadn't fallen and we were, existing in our higher self, there would still be this, danger of falling, So I think that that's what it is. So related to my ego as a problem, I think as a society, we have an ego problem. We have a real problem with letting our ego take over and take control. And I don't know if people really understand what I mean, but it's like, it's kind of like that other self that's inside of you that tells you to do this or tells you to do that. And, at the end of the day, your ego is really just trying to protect you. But that can be dangerous as you have to have, if you have this complete bubble, like we live in our algorithm. So our algorithm has become an extension of our ego. It's the little bubble that we live in that protects us, it keeps us from seeing what we did wrong or, what we can do better, even, where our shortcomings are. We don't want to see any of that, And it also tells us that we're better than we are. It's like the illusions of grandeur, when you get lost in that idea that, I'm better than I actually am, or I can do things that I actually can't, not to say that anything's impossible, but there goes the balance again. We have to, you know, live in the real world. And the ego will take us out of the real world and we'll be in this fantasy that's totally in our head. We're in our head alone. We're not in the real world. So therefore, when things happen that we don't understand, it happens in a way like, because I talked about in the other show, we're supposed to know some things, we're supposed to know. So sometimes we get confused when something happens and there's no real explanation. Like you can't do the math, you can't work it out, you can't add it up. It's like that's kind of random, even though the universe is random to a certain extent. But a lot of times this is our ego. It's in the way of us seeing what actually happened because, like I say, we're supposed to know, and everything always adds up and makes sense. You have an action, you have a reaction. There's always a reason. So, again, and you always want to come back to yourself. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do wrong? Or what did I do to cause this reaction? But our bubble, our algorithm protects us from getting that far. We put the blame on something else, or we said something else. We explain it away with something super fantastic, like aliens or something, like, something that could be true, but most likely isn't, And then we've been watching TV. If I don't want to give away my age, but, I saw the internet being born when there was no internet, and then there is an internet. Like the whole world is totally changed as a result of that. TV, I pretty much saw TV. I mean, it was around when I was a kid, but it wasn't like it was as I got older, because my grandfather listened to the radio. That's what he did. He was a professional baseball player. He really liked to listen to the radio, and it was other like those radio shows where they do the I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but they had the horror stuff, and they had the it was just all audio, no visual. It's like a show, right? I remember this. The television, though, we have grown up in the television, a lot of us, and it gives us this fantasy world that we think is real and true, and it there goes the illusions of grandeur that we have. I'm gonna be like this person, not to say that it can't happen. It's just that all of us can't be LeBron. All of us can't be Michael Jackson. Like, it's just not realistic. So, but the TV tells you that you can. So, but then with the future generation, with the kids now, it's the internet, it's the social websites, it's the TikToks, it's the social media, and they're stuck in these fantasies, and they're like, I can be this person. But the thing is, okay, there's nothing impossible. You can. But the thing is, from the jump, what they're presenting to you is not real. It's not real. It's fake off the top. So you can never be fake because you're a real person. So you have to be a real person. You can't let your ego or your illusions make you want to aspire to be something that's fake, because you can't be that. You're real. You live here. You exist when you breathe, when you hear. Anyways, what's up, Pat?
What's up? What's up?
Let me read the comments. I'm missing comments. What's up, Doc? Nice to hear from you. He says, any links, finally getting my setup working better. He says, old saying, you are your own worst enemy. I'm telling you, I know I am. I wanted to say this too, because the other thing I was thinking about was someone told me, they said, you sabotage yourself all the time, and I don't understand it. And it really kind of, I mean, I didn't say nothing at the time, but it's one of those things, because I overthink everything. So that's one of those lines that kept ringing in my head for still to this day. This was this was a couple years ago when this person said this, and it's still ringing in my ear to this day because I think about it, and he's like, you sabotage yourself, and I really just don't understand it. And then I think about it, I'm like, shit, I don't understand it either. And you're right, I do, time and time and time and time again. But when I'm in my head and then when I'm in my ego, that's when I do those things where I sabotage myself, because it's like presenting myself in a way that is not really authentic, presenting myself that's not really me, and also making people feel some kind of way, you know? And that's the problem, because the whole thing is it's all about how you make other people feel, you know, and that's what are the reactions that you have. These are the results of the situations that you are in. It's because of the way you made people feel. It's not about your necessarily like your what you do, you know, how well you do it, you know. It's not about that at all. It's not even about like what you say. It's really about how they felt as a result, you know. And when you make people feel uncomfortable in a certain way, then the results are never going to be good. But see, that's the thing I struggle with all the time, because I'm like, making people feel uncomfortable. It's like this world is so backwards and upside down, and I'm blessed enough to see it. And I just feel like I need to scream it from the top of my lungs and help people see it. And it's like, but making them feel uncomfortable is like my way of showing that, like, you know, this is really kind of backwards. And but the results are not good. That's all I'm saying. I don't know that it's a good idea. Let me finish reading these comments right quick. Doc says the echo chamber of self and surrounding self with people that agree with us instead of challenging us. Exactly. He says radio serials like The Shadow, Buck Rogers, Lone Ranger, and Flash Gordon. Or Doc is old like me, so I don't know if everybody knows what we're talking about here. But yeah, man, I remember that stuff, and it was probably kind of old. I wasn't listening to it live, like as far as like, I don't know, I can't really remember. I was a little kid, my grandpa listening to
My
this.
mama told me about stuff like that. Like, I mean, cause you know, like I always like enjoyed like the morning show, like on the radio in the morning. Just it's usually comedians and this, that, and the other. So I mean, there's always like a special little thing to it because of it makes you use your imagination. It makes you think, because if they give you everything, like they give you the sound, they give you the visual, and then the thing about it too is like the way that the music that they use, the tones,
The
the
sound
sound
effects.
effect, yeah, all those different things really makes the difference, and you don't need the actual TV to, you know,
I think it was so much
to enjoy
healthier
it.
for us, even though radio had its impact that was negative. But I remember those black and white shows in the old like Twilight Zone and all of that. Like I can still watch that today, and I think that a
Hitchcock.
lot of Alfred Hitchcock. I think a lot of that stuff was even better. It's better than a lot of the stuff that, because they had to be more creative. They didn't have all these special effects and shit to use. They had to
Hmm.
rely on a good story and like, you know what I mean? A
Yeah,
good idea. Something that would engage you, and you're mentally engaged.
yeah. Well, I think. Well, I wanted to also make a comment based on what your monologue. If you recognize, because see, I don't even know where my ego begins and where it ends. Um, I think it's so woven into just who I am to where, you know, because I mean, I am, I know I have I have many sides. I have my, very humble and, appreciative, like I'm very much that, but I'm also, I mean, the man right here, I'm a, very much a mystical, sometimes. It's, you being able to pick that out, because I think, maybe because I mean, I overthink somewhat But I think that based on what you're saying, is like you're pretty much kind of reprimanding yourself. Uh, and maybe you're being a little too hard. But I would relax because I mean life is life. We got to live, and I think all those different facets working together because it's balance. Like we got to be able to balance all these different, emotions and everything that we're going through. Like I think that the what's needed what's needed the most will come up when it's time. So allow your ego to do what it's meant to do, and then you know when it's not needed, he's gonna go chill. You know.
Uh, Let me read this. Doc says 15 minutes of fame has turned into 1.5 minutes of viral TikTok. And
Mhm.
this one he says, I catch myself making decisions that I know undermine myself, normally out of fear of things actually going well for a change. It scares me and I so sabotage myself. Doc, I think you just said what I was trying to say, and I really think that is exactly what I do. I think there's a fear of success that I have, like a, a fear of actually being who I am in my mind. You know what I mean? A fear of accomplishment, a fear of like being ahead of my family. Like, you know what I mean? Like a fear of totally being separated from them in a way where I'm like, I've moved on. Like I know that the stuff that a lot of these people around me they do, I don't do, and I really shouldn't be in the same boat with them. You know, I think that there was a time in my life where people called me successful, and it scared me, and I think that I felt like I was separated, you know, from like my family and stuff, and I felt like I had become a bad person or something like that. And I think part of the reason why I ended up where I am in my life now is because, you know, it's like I got scared and was like abandon my people or whatever. It's like, am I not like these other people? I had a really long conversation with my boss one time, and she said, "You're a conservative," you know. She says, "That's what you are. You're a conservative, you know. You are, you know, you're exceptional. You pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, you know." And but I'm always defending liberal stuff, you know, and I was even in this conversation, and she was like, "But that's not you, that you
Huh.
know, and you know that's not you." Uh, so, but this is a struggle that I'm having within myself, you know, and like what Doc just said, I think that that's what we do. I think that's what I do. Like I be on the precipice of making this huge, great change or something, or this great accomplishment, and then I take two. My boss used to tell me, he says, "You take one step forward, and then you take two steps back."
Damn. Well, I would agree with the um conservative part, and I think sometimes like yeah, I mean I think all of us want to be liked, but I think a part of what like if everybody's on the same shit, nobody gets better. You know what I'm saying? Like if we don't have conflicting views with people, like if everybody just says, because I mean that's one of the biggest problems I have with society as it is right now is that like everything is okay, like any and everything is cool, and like I think there has to be a cutoff point of certain things, things that we just say no, like just is intolerable, like you just cannot this just no, this can't happen, this is not going to happen. And it shouldn't be just a few of us saying that, because you know if we looking to build a future for because I mean there's really no point to be alive if you're not gonna try to make things better for the future, for your children, for grandchildren. Just I mean if you have none, I mean at least be a somebody that an advocate for
Le-
those.
leave things better than I 100% agree with you. It's like the Native American, the Aboriginal Americans had a saying where they said like leave things better than you found them, whatever. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Doc says they had 120 years of they didn't have 120 years of film to steal from. Talking about how they had to be creative. That's why that stuff you can go back right now and look at that stuff and enjoy it way better. I can't watch TV; it's so trash right now. Let me read this comment. Doc says, "If things are going well, I tend to start looking for the catch, and then when I find it, I use it as an excuse to tear down what I've built or to convince myself I didn't earn it." And I think I do that too. Like he said, when things are going well, I tend to look for the catch. I think it's me the childhood I went through, and it's like lots of disappointment, and you think that, this is going to happen, but it totally goes into like a tragedy. And then this happens over and over again. So like even as an adult, I'm like waiting for the tragedy. Oh, that's so freaking sad. Doc says, without the discussion, there's no progress. Yep. That's why we do the show. But us talking to ourselves, I think, is a thing, because that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the ego. My ego is a problem. And it's I think about Homer Simpson with the red devil on one side and the white devil on the other one, and they're like in his, talking in his ear, like whenever he has to make a decision, and that's that red devil and that white devil don't really exist. That's him battling with himself. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them are him. I mean, that's the polarities. That's the nature. That's the nature of the beast. And I think that we all have those things sometimes, but I think some of us may not be using it because we're totally programmed. Like it's just whatever I'm told, and like you're like a private.
Not thinking.
You're
zombie
a private
robot.
And you're a private in the army, and you just take orders. Whatever they said, this is what you do. This is how you do it.
And this is what I'm supposed to do. And that's one of the reasons why I fight against traditions a lot, because I'm so afraid of being a zombie robot. And traditions, the holidays, all of these things are set up for you. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. My ex, we used to have arguments. Because she would say, "You're supposed to do this," and I'm like, "I'm not in the business of doing what I'm supposed to do." Like,
oh damn,
I'm sorry, that's just not what I'm into. Like, and whatever I feel is right, I feel it right with my spirit. Then and it still falls in line with some kind of tradition. Boom, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna do it just because that's what I'm supposed to do.
That's what everybody else what everybody else says I'm supposed to do.
That's what's set up for you in whatever society or culture that you live in. There's a set of things, traditions, it's all set up for you. With the holidays, let me read this one. Doc says, "I feel if things are going well, I'm being set up." And that's how I feel. Like, I feel like, it's got to be.
But you're afraid of this. You're afraid of the setup, because I mean, getting set up is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's a bad like a lot of times there's a bad connotation to it. But I mean, you're supposed to either set yourself, because the parents set their children up all the time for a good future. We set ourselves up for a better future, for whatever it is, like going, you go to school, you go, whatever it is, you're setting yourself up. So like, let's not all, that's like even the word use, like, I don't, what I'm saying, I don't mind being used, but that's the thing, is like, oh, he used me, like, well, that's kind of what's supposed to happen with humans. Now, if he's using you in a way that you don't approve of, now that's something we can talk about. But just basically saying, yeah, I mean,
we're all using each other for something, and that's how it is. And in a healthy relationship, then both parties are getting what they want out of it.
Yes.
So then that's it. That's balance.
Yeah, but I think there's some people who feel like if they get used at all, men too. This is not just women. I guess I deal with women, but I mean, I'm sure there's guys that. I mean, I know that there's guys that do the same thing. It's like, nah, man, she tried to use. I said, well, I mean, what I'm saying? Like, I've had conversations with different people. It's just like, no, it's okay to be used and to use people, but to take advantage now, that's a totally different.
I think that people don't really understand what you're saying, and it's because they've been brainwashed so heavily,
Yeah,
and that's the reason why they don't understand this concept of, I mean, you have to use a step stool to get up to where you need to get so you can grab something. If you need it, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, to accomplish what you need to accomplish,
You
and that
5'2", you 5'2", the cabinet is 7 foot tall. You need a couple of steps. You know what I'm saying? You need a little short ladder so you can get up there and get what you need. I mean, and it's just and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
it's okay
fine.
as long as it's not in a way like parasitic, in a way that causes harm to the other, because it's
Yeah.
like the latter is happy for you to use it. That gives it a reason to be. Like, I hate to use that. This is a terrible analogy because then we're going to talk about people being objects, and I don't like that. When we was watching that, well, when I was talking about Squid Game, and it was a part in that show that really, really, it still strikes me to this day when I think about it, because they were using people like as chairs and stuff. Like, it was a scene in there where the VIPs were up in the room and they were watching the game, and they had people there who were like chairs and couches and shit. Like, that's how they used them. Like, I was like, oh man, that's so terrible. And the other guy wanted to use the guy for sex, and he wasn't down with that. Ended up killing him. But looking at people as objects is a thing that bothers me a lot.
Well,
So
I
I
mean,
didn't mean to use that analogy.
well,
That
no,
was not
but
good.
see, the thing is we do have to be more comfortable with accepting reality, because we are physical beings as well as spiritual and mental, and like we have all of these different facets. So I mean, just making a comment, I mean, somebody that's very simple will try to make something out of that statement. But for those who are wise enough, smart enough to accept the fact that, okay, they know that that's not what you mean, that's not what, what I'm saying, you don't mean this person to be just what I'm saying, just a piece of meat to you.
Yeah,
But
that's where it becomes, like I say, like parasitic. That's where it becomes a problem. But there's a healthy. It's the usage is gonna happen. These are the things that seems like it really kind of like why another reason why our society is so backwards. Because when we look at nature shows, and the stuff that's always blotted out and censored, what we never see on, you can't play it on social media even, like a leopard. Even when you watch those nature shows, they don't, a lot of times they don't show the actual kill. You know what I'm saying? They don't show that part
oh yeah.
because people, they can't deal with it. They're so separated from the actual realities that we live in. We buy our
Hmm.
meat at the grocery store, but that cow or chicken or whatever had to be butchered. It was alive at some point, and they had to butcher it. and
That's
and
still and that's still a nice word, because I would say slaughtered.
yeah, so we are very separated, from the realities of the world. And so when someone like me, says something that, brings all of that home, I become a bad guy.
Yeah. We just got to be more mature, and like, I don't know, it's a lot of things that kind of makes me somewhat sad about our current state. The majority of us that just totally lost. I mean, some of the smartest and brightest people are totally like lost because they've been programmed. Like, they've gone through all the indoctrination processes, and maybe even like the continuation of it. With the news and TV, where, like, I mean, information, is not sacred. Like, I mean, it's just like, let me double check some of these things because, you know, I need to know for certain. Like I need to see and know for myself. It's and like people have gotten so dependent on, you know, our government, our media, our everything, like all these different things, to where like just the idea of needing to, cause you know, I try to pass on some prepper stuff to, you know, just to kind of give people an idea, just like, look, I mean, everything may not be all what you think it is. You need to prepare. Like you need to start doing different things where, you know, when these things happen, and it's kind of like, man, like I'm really tripping. Like, you know, I am just like I'm insane. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm all these things, but you know, the one thing that they didn't call me was a thinker, which, you know what I'm saying, it's just like, or you know, somebody who likes to be prepared. You know, like what about some of those
No,
things?
they want to think you're afraid.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No,
Oh
no,
man.
I plan on making it through. Yeah. What's up, Doc?
What's up? That's what I gotta say, man. You
Is this
look and sound. Your mic sounds wonderful, bro. Like it sounds better than my
For
shit
real.
for sure.
dude? I'm gonna tell you right now. On Amazon, it was 45 bucks.
You sound wonderful. It looks great. You must have been doing. What is the name of whatever you've been doing, bro? So I can check it out.
Nothing really. They're not really doing anything. I told you that I needed a month or two to start getting some shit together, get my equipment together, and that's what I've done.
Man, I'm see it. I
Oh,
see
and
it.
I got my driver's permit. I'm waiting to do the driver's test somewhere, and I'll have my license.
You
Finally.
look. You look
Wait a minute,
good
like
and
wait a
sound
minute, hold
good.
on. Truck driver, or you talking about just like basic
Just
license?
just a regular basic license right
Cause
now. I'm gonna
okay,
start trying to do like I'm gonna start trying to do like Uber and stuff like that.
okay.
You're going legit.
Whatever. And you were talking about the other places that may need some drivers and stuff too. I'm just gonna have a regular license now, but you know, once I get that, the future is whatever it happens.
It's great to hear
Yeah.
from you and great to see you, bro. I gotta say that.
I was really surprised. I almost sent this back because I wasn't quite ready for it yet, but then I found a splitter that gave me some ability to share my resources, and it helped a whole lot.
And your connection is strong and everything, man. That's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I went from the wireless here. I got the T-Mobile hotspot
That's great.
because, yes, like I said, my connection was crap. Everything was going out. My voice couldn't handle the thing couldn't handle my voice. The camera was good though, so I kept the camera because why not?
The camera looks good. You look really good.
Yeah.
And of course, it's No Shave November, so I got to sport the fuzzy.
It's all
Uh,
good.
I want to jump into some politics. It's like freaking let's see, which one do I want to go to? Because they talking Biden is
Them
catching the
cheeks.
flack. You know what? Let's go into that. Freaking the railroad strike. Y'all heard about that, right?
I have not.
Yeah.
It's been going on, and it looked like they had an agreement, but they were like they gave the people a raise.
Tomorrow's December 1st. You can shave.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah, man, ready. It's already the first.
Damn.
The what was I gonna say?
Not
The
here.
railroad strike. The railroad strike. Okay. They finally it looked like they were gonna have an agreement, and but the guys were like 14 days, 6 days, and then they went down to 6 days, and they're like, nah, we're not giving y'all 6 days. So they drawing up legislation to bust this strike and force
Okay.
these guys to go to work.
So I'm getting 6 hours ago, New York Times said House passes bill to avert railroad strike.
Right.
Moving
They-
to impose. Yeah, that's just 6 hours ago.
They just did it today. That's what I'm saying. So it
Yeah.
was coming. It was coming up, and so that's really fucked up if you think about it. Because the power of the workers, the only power that they have is the strike. So then, so anyway, so Biden is supposed to be the union guy or whatever. He's like, oh, I'm strong for unions. This is some stuff he'd be saying and have been saying. So the internet is eating him up about this now because they're like, okay, you're basically a union buster.
Well, I don't trust him because I mean, he's a Democrat. He he promises and tells people what they want to hear, but then when it's time to actually show and prove, that's when you just he's hiding behind desks and tables and
I don't trust him because he doesn't know what day of the week it is.
Well, I think that's at least part of the time, but I think that he actually puts effort into avoiding, just like pretty much everybody else. I mean, you know exactly what's important to them because that gets done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shoot, when it comes down to, marriage stuff or protecting Asians or protecting, people,
Well,
you know what I'm saying? When it's
the
different things,
liberals,
because I mean, which is fine, but at the
the
same time,
Democrats are on his ass now on this one. Let me play some of this.
News. President Biden sided with big business and has urged Congress to intervene to block rail workers from going on strike, saying it could devastate the economy. On Monday, Biden asked lawmakers to quickly pass legislation to impose a labor deal that's been opposed by the majority of freight rail workers. In a statement, Biden said, quote, as a proud pro-labor president, I'm reluctant to override the ratification procedures and the views of those who voted against the agreement. But in this case, where the economic impact of a shutdown would hurt millions of other working people and families, I believe Congress must use its powers to adopt this deal, Biden said. Many union activists criticized Biden's move to block a strike. Ron Kaminko, a locomotive engineer and organizer for Railroad Workers United, spoke to Democracy Now! Last night.
So unfortunately, the most labor-friendly president, quote unquote, we've ever had, basically has opted to side with the Class 1 carriers, Class 1 rail carriers, because he had the opportunity, and he's had that opportunity since this whole debacle began, to basically urge, coax, cajole, and otherwise badger and bully the rail carriers into meeting what are very, very modest demands of rank and file railroad workers. And in his latest request here to Congress to legislate us basically back to work before we even had a chance to strike, under the terms and conditions of the tentative agreement, which is not very popular with the rank and file. We have unions that represent 55% of rail labor have voted this contract down. And so we could have seen Biden actually opt for telling Congress he would like to see Congress pass legislation that mediates an end to the conflict, under which more favorable terms to the workers, which is to say a handful of sick days. And that's what this has come down to. Railroad workers traditionally have had no sick time. And now with the very, very harsh attendance policies that we're faced with, railroad workers get very, very little time off work. And it has come to a crunch point. We're seeing workers leaving the industry in droves, in numbers never, ever believed possible. People with 15 and 20 years seniority are leaving the industry. And there's a crisis out there. And I don't believe the Biden administration quite understands the depth of this crisis. And I don't think they understand that they could have actually taken an approach that would have benefited rail labor and potentially benefited the rail industry itself. Instead, unfortunately, the president is urging Congress to basically legislate an agreement based upon what he brokered along with Marty Walsh, Secretary of Labor, 2 months ago. But the rank and file have made it very clear that they are not content with this contract that simply does not address the quality of work-life issues.
This all comes as profits soar for the freight rail industry, which has reduced the rail workforce by 30% over the last 6 years.
Since I entered the industry more than a quarter century ago, I have watched as the rail industry has made record profits. The operating ratio when I hired in, I believe, was somewhere in the mid 80s. It dropped into the 70s, 60s. The rail industry is hell bent on achieving a 0.50 operating ratio, and who knows where they might even want to go from there. Stock buybacks has reached record proportion. The dividends that have been paid out to stockholders are enormous. Warren Buffett was, for one, who bought BNSF outright a decade ago, will state unequivocally that his investment has paid off to him way more than he even expected it to. The wealth that has been accumulated by these rail carriers over the last quarter century, while they have moved less freight than they did 16 years ago, shippers from practically every major shipping group that ships by rail is in a state of total discontent. They have complained vociferously to the Surface Transportation Board, demanding better service. The rail industry has gouged their customers. They've shed themselves of about a third of their employees in the last 6 years. And they've basically pissed off just about everybody in the country except for their stockholders. And now we come down to the wire in contract negotiations where literally what separates the parties is a handful of sick time that most workers actually have achieved decades and decades ago, but railroad workers have traditionally gone without. And we finally have said enough is enough. We want a handful of sick days, and yet the rail carriers see fit to dig in their heels. These Fortune 500 companies who have made, like I say, record profits these last 25 years and refuse to give us anything. And unfortunately, the Biden administration is incapable of siding unequivocally with us as the most labor-friendly president ever. We would have expected that from him. So there's a lot of upset and a lot of discontent right now amongst the working railroaders.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So this is not a small deal. This is a big deal, I would say, for
it's a real big deal
for a whole bunch of reasons. He said something I wanted to fucking comment on. What was it? He said so much. Freaking they making so much money. They're doing the stock buybacks. They're doing this lean where it's like everybody's on call the whole time. Everybody's stressed out because it's fewer people working, you know. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Freaking people, because they don't teach history properly, and they don't teach history properly. These people don't even know how much trouble it went through to get us to have a 5-day work week, weekends off, and 8-hour work days. People died. It was riots and you know, people died for us to have the work week that we have now with the little vacation time or whatever it is that we have now. The companies never wanted to give that to the people. They had to fight. They had to fight. They had to fight.
Look, you know, I agree with that. But on the other side of this, you're also got to understand they're picking the month before the holiday season, the busiest time of the year, to do this. They are using strong arm tactics.
These negotiations have been going on like all year. They've been going back and forth. I can go back. I know it's been at least like 6 months. At least 6 months.
Well, see, there's been a lot added, a lot taken away, a bunch, because they started out with a whole lot more demands, and all of a sudden now they're saying, oh, well, it's just about a few sick days. It's been about a whole lot more the whole time.
Yeah, well, they're screwing over these people clearly. So, and then the thing is,
they're giving the message, oh, it's just about sick days, and he won't give us more sick days. And while I agree, well, first of all, the president should not be frigging involved in labor negotiations.
That's it. That's it right there. And that's what I'm trying to get to, because then you know,
That's an
what is,
overreach of the executive office.
doesn't that sound like
Yes.
totalitarianism? You know, the
Yeah,
only power
when
that
I
the
asked-
workers have
No,
is their
we're under a
union.
democratic government. We're in a dictatorship now. We are told what
No.
to think, what to speak, and if we go against that, we are disappeared or we are removed from society with cancel culture.
And they've squashed all the major unions, and this union right here is actually pretty strong with the trains. The trains unions, they're pretty damn strong, and so the damn government had to stomp them out, so they couldn't have no power. So the people, the workers, the regular folks, no power.
Yeah. Well,
Go to
my whole
work.
thing-
Shut up.
My
Don't
whole
get
thing
sick.
is
He's just
I
trying to
think
keep
I
the
even-
supply chain open during the Thanksgiving holiday, during this week, the next couple of months.
I can't.
When it comes to when it's all over, he's going back away and not want to have anything to do with it and let them do all the negotiations they want, because that way he can't get blamed for screwing up everybody's holiday.
I can't give him a pass on this. Fuck, screw that. You know, the holiday's gonna come back around, whatever. These companies just made a freaking whole bunch of money out of COVID. I don't feel sorry for them.
But
They
that's the whole
inflating
thing.
prices just because they can as a result of this COVID situation. No,
you know
they've been
what?
cashing in for 2 years.
There'd
Screw
also
them.
be more trains and stuff open if they hadn't canceled that pipeline, because now Rupert Murdoch, who owns most of the trucks and the trains carrying that oil, is the one making all that money instead of the pipeline.
And it's a lot going on with that because, you know, Europe is starting to get mad. France is getting upset. Y'all charging us extra freaking money.
Well, we blew up the Ukrainian pipeline because Russia, remember I said they were going in there to take that pipeline? Well, you notice we blew up that pipeline, but they still took that because they were coming in. They were going to take that territory, and we blew it up.
And now,
excuse me, it's not official. It's rumored amongst conspiracy theorists that a special covert team went in and blew it up.
And now Europe is getting their stuff from us. We're selling it, but it has to be shipped, and the price is high as hell. And it's like I have a clip somewhere on this where they're like, can y'all cut the prices on this stuff? So it's Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore talked about it. Freaking can y'all freaking like
darn,
they're paying more for gas
maybe if we
over
could
there than we are.
produce more like we did a few years ago.
It's still the problem of getting it over that's the thing people don't understand. It's like the government can't control how much. If these are independent contractors, these are people that own their ships or whatever the hell, their price is their price. And you know what I'm saying?
That's not how it works. Because I mean they've made legislation on how much can actually be.
How
much can actually be brought.
Guess what? Europe's
frats.
And we are not allowed. And we're not allowed to undercut OPEC prices.
Well, but at the same time, what drives the prices is the supply and demand. Because when when the demand is high and there's not much supply, they charge more. I mean, it's just because the company.
That's why it was a buck. That's why it was a buck and a quarter during COVID under Trump. Everyone thinks that 45 had a big deal with it. It's like, yeah, he did, but at the same time, there was so much less demand during that time.
Y'all talking about the price over here? I'm talking about the price over there.
They were screwed as soon as Russia moved in. They were screwed.
Yes, they're screwed. Ever since the pipelines are shut down, they're screwed. They have to get it from other places, and a lot of it is coming from the States, but it has to be shipped. That's the big thing. That is expensive. It costs money to ship this heavy ass shit.
So what are they paying per gallon?
More than us. Look, let me play this.
It's catching on.
Let me see what's
they're
up.
They're only about
oil
8 months
prices.
behind pothead comedians.
Check it.
Europe accuses U.S. of profiteering from war. No kidding. Oh my God. I hire these people to be your new inspector general. EU officials attacked Joe Biden over sky-high gas prices, weapons sales, and trade as Vladimir Putin's war threatens to destroy Western unity. By the way, so this is That's the Ukraine flag, and it looks a little different. It's the Ukrainian flag, and it has the coat of arms. A coat of arms is traditionally used to establish identity in battle. So this flag is even a little more warlike than the usual one. What this coat of arms symbolizes is two soldiers, two men. See the stick figures on either side? And then what they're doing is they're pulling down the pants of a conscientious objector and tying him to a street pole so he can freeze. That's how I read it. And by a freezing pole, I don't mean Jackson Pollock. I mean top European officials are furious with Joe Biden's administration and now accuse the Americans of making a fortune from the war. Really? Boy, you guys, huh? You guys are on. You catch on quick. While EU countries suffer. We've been saying this since day one. The fact is, if you look at it soberly, the country that is most profiting from this war is the United States because they are selling more gas and at higher prices, and probably because they are selling more weapons. I swear to God, that's what we said when this thing started. The explosive comments, backed in public and private by officials, diplomats, and ministers elsewhere, follow mounting anger in Europe over American subsidies that threaten to wreck European industry. The Kremlin is likely to welcome the poisoning of the atmosphere among Western allies. We are really at a historic juncture, that senior EU official said, arguing that the double hit of trade disruption from U.S. Subsidies and high energy prices risks turning public opinion against both the war effort and the transatlantic alliance. America needs to realize that public opinion is shifting in many European Union countries. The U.S. rejected Europe's complaints. Like a true mafia. The rise in gas prices in Europe is caused by Putin's invasion of Ukraine and Putin's energy war against Europe, period. A spokesperson for Biden's National Security Council said. Exports of liquefied natural gas from the U.S. to Europe increased dramatically and enabled Europe to diversify away from Russia. Yeah, that's exactly what we said this was all about. This is all about United States.
They get to diversify, meaning they buying more stuff from us at higher prices. That's crazy. So do y'all see the connections with this? So like, I don't know what I was about to say. I'm losing it right now. Let me read the caption. It says, Western European nations are beginning to wake up to the fact that they are doing much of the sacrificing for the war effort in Ukraine, while the United States is reaping all the benefits in terms of natural gas sales and exports of more and more weapons as the war drags on. But when severe food and energy shortages, along with a cold winter looming, Europeans may decide they don't want to suffer anymore to feed U.S. profiteering. So I think that something like this, rifts are happening, and this whole thing is pushing China and Russia closer together too. So
they've already made alliances like shit.
Well, recently they made a big deal. It's related to the yuan. Russia agreed to use the yuan's currency for something. I don't want to say it wrong, but that's a big deal. And it's gold backed. I want to say, man, I don't want to be saying this wrong. Where the hell did I see that? Anyways, I think I'm gonna go back to Insta because I have some stuff in here. It says guaranteed. This is Bernie Sanders' tweet. It says guaranteeing 7 paid sick days to rail workers will cost the rail industry a grand total of $321 million a year, less than 2% of its profits. Please don't tell me the rail industry can't afford it. Rail companies spent $25.5 billion on stock buybacks and dividends this year.
Shit, we gave them a break this time, even though we've been struggling with prices and this, that, and the third. You know, like rates and all that. but because this whole thing with the train company, because that should help us overall, but it's really insane for the biggest infrastructure that's set to keep everything moving in the country, that they're having a debate on whether or not they're gonna fund it or not. Like that's insane, bro. It's really I don't get it.
So
I understand them trying to get their money, like they're trying to, trying to get their deal, but why would the government, especially with all the money that they spending elsewhere, because that's my biggest problem with these liberals, these Democrats, is that they're okay with spending money all across and everywhere else in the world, but then they don't want to spend no money here at home.
So here goes the vote.
Oh no, they want to spend money everywhere.
Here's the vote for the paid sick leave for rail workers on agreeing to the resolution. I wonder why they said on paid sick leave. That's kind of weird that that's what it's about. But it says Democrats 218.
It's about paid rather than non-paid sick leave.
Yeah. Well, I understand the situation because I watched a lot of shit on it, and they explained it. Those guys are on call the whole time. They can't really go nowhere and do nothing. And then they don't even let them go to the doctor because it's like they're not gonna without missing work. But anyways, let me read this right here. It says this is the count for it. Democrats 218 yay, Republican 3 yay, with 207 nay. So the totals are 221 yay and 207 nay. So that's the resolution that passed. 207 Republicans vote against paid sick leave for rail workers.
See,
that's interesting.
It doesn't increase the number of sick days they have. All it does is said all they want is paid leave instead of I'm sick, I'm taking a day off. Cool, you can take a day off, but you don't get paid for it.
Right. So and
I've been in food service all my life. You don't get paid shit if you don't come in.
Yeah.
I've
been there, but that's the same thing it is for me with trucking. But I mean, it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, but this is fighting for the rights. But what's interesting is the Democrats
I
are
have
the ones.
had 3 to 5 days a year paid sick time at various jobs in different corps and stuff like that for pre-food service. But it's the question is, do they have any paid sick leave at all right now? How much more are they wanting?
They want 7 days, so I don't think they get those. I don't think they get those 7 days. They just want 7 days.
Okay, so 7 days out of the year they can call in sick and still be paid for it. What the fuck is the problem?
That's what the whole thing is. Like, that should be nothing. That should not be a big deal, especially with all the freaking money that they're making. That's not a lot to ask for.
They could afford that by taking the snacks out the fucking break room. Raising the Coke machines they have in the break room to 75 cents instead of 50. It's not like, if they need to recover that money, there are ways to do it pennies at a time.
No,
they're making money.
My conspiracy theory mind tells me that this administration is trying to really, they're trying to make the middle class totally disappear.
Yeah, this is the agenda. It's the big squeeze.
Yeah,
because
if they make
what
an
middle
agreement,
class?
that's
right.
Well,
what middle class?
Well, I mean, if you really want, we can go there, but I mean, at the same time, I think that to some extent it did exist. I mean, but nowadays the middle class is probably closer to, like what, $500,000 a year.
Oh no, my dad was lower middle class because he worked. My mom didn't. We had a 3-bedroom house. He had 2 sons. That was middle class.
Well,
that
no,
was
there's
lower
no true,
middle class.
I don't think
there's no true
yeah.
definition for what a middle class home
No,
is, because
It's an
well,
argument.
I'm speaking in the 80s.
Yeah. That's
well,
definitely
I
an
mean,
He
argument.
could work a
even
job, and his job provided enough to do well and to prosper if you cut corners. That was considered lower middle class back then.
Let me play
Now
this.
that's middle lower class.
Let me play this. I think he might clear up the railroad thing. It's only 1 minute.
we were upper class impoverished. We were the upper class of the impoverished.
Yeah, I think we could.
Well, we were white, so technically we could never be lower class according to standards back then.
I think
we were
that
just poor white. We were just poor white people.
have the middle class argument or whatever. There'll never be a consensus. But I feel like there's no middle class at all, anyways. Even with what you're saying, I think it's just owner class and worker class. That's it. No middle class. Let me play this though. Check it.
Because you work as a teacher, and I work as a railroader, and he works as a trucker, and she works as a nurse, and he works in a coffee shop. We're all part of the working people that make society run. We're all part of the working class that produces the wealth. And without us, nothing could happen. And so when one of us is under attack, we're all under attack. When one sector of us fights back, we all need to support that struggle and see it as our own. And so I would say to every working person in this country, whether you work on the railroad or not, if and when there is a strike anywhere amongst any craft or any industry, you
Jump
as a
in.
working person
He went
should
full
be there
marks.
to support it in whatever ways you can. And so I would encourage all working people to have our back if and when we go on strike.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, look, the way that if anybody is really paying attention to what's been happening in China for the last 20 years, because I mean, the COVID stuff, that's one thing to look forward to if we don't stand up and drop our nuts.
Hell,
But
ignore the COVID thing. Just the last 3 years.
well, I'm just saying, I mean, look, no, these people, like the working class has no say. Like us being able to at least have a conversation is a luxury. Us being able to fight about the fact that I want this, I want that, that's a luxury like that they haven't had in a long time. And that's where they're trying, like with the globalization, that's what they're trying to do here, everywhere around the world. So I mean, we're in a good position. We're in a strange position, really, because like there's too many people that's too scared to they don't like everything is cool, everything is okay. Oh no, they're not doing that. It's so many people that don't think that our politicians are working against us, that it's so many things that's happening right on our nose because they're too busy to care, that we can end up just where China is if we're not careful.
Man, I'm not so worried anymore about our politicians working against us. That has been the lockstep on both sides since I came into knowledge of politics in the 80s. My problem is the politicians now are starting to work against the country as a whole on both sides.
But no, that's been like they've been slowly inducing this like the mind control has been happening for so long. It's just that they slowly implementing, like slowly doing it so that people think that, oh, well, them taking your rights from you is to actually help you, and it's gonna benefit you. But no, when you lose your rights, you usually don't get them back unless you burn everything down and start from scratch. So, I mean, while we have it, we need to appreciate what we have and try to keep.
Only 1 degree, not three. Biden may have more explaining to do.
Thanks.
The new questions stem from tape.
Sorry, I was trying to get this queued up, but it started playing.
Okay,
Here's a question too.
Is that Biden in the 70s?
Yeah, they like I say, the internet is on his head. Go ahead, Doc. What were you saying?
You know, what I want to know is we've watched all these new taxes come in for, well, first it was global warming, now it's cooling, now it's warming again, ozone layer, this, that. We've had all these new taxes come in, and they said, oh, well, these are temporary taxes, these are temporary taxes. Can you tell me when any of them has been rescinded?
Yeah, they don't never.
I mean, until a Republican gets in the office, and then there's like they'll cut some taxes, but then
they raise them in other places too.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case either.
Unfortunately, Republicans spend too much time cutting upper level taxes, thinking it's going to trickle down. When today's society has become about acquisition and not growth. You don't want to grow, you want to acquire. And acquiring is not the same thing as growth. I mean, you get more, but you don't necessarily grow. You don't make new things. You don't build. And everyone hates Elon right now. But one thing about Elon is every business he puts his hand into, he grows. He doesn't just like make money for himself. He builds an industry which creates other industries that he needs to build.
The verdict is out on with Twitter, so let's see.
Oh, I'm not even worried. That whole thing really is about advertising for him.
Who's really mad with him, though? The people who are trying to, control
the whole left.
Well, that's what
he took away their safe space.
Well, no, it wasn't that they necessarily took away their safe space, because I mean, really, everywhere you go was their safe space. Like you had fact checkers that are bought and paid by them to correct anybody that's claims that okay, no, this is the truth. Then there's like, okay, no, this is the new truth. This is the truth we're gonna go with, and that's just that. And too many people that are on the left trust it and believe it instead of actually going to some of these websites or like actually seeing for themselves, and they get mad. And like a lot of the voters, they get mad because the politicians are mad, and like they're so controlled.
The echo chamber.
Yeah, they're so controlled that like if somebody tells them anything about their politicians, like it's almost like you just threatened them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. Like it's like when you just trying to make somebody aware of what's going on, or just to just look this.
You got to
question it for yourself.
There's so many people that have their head so far up 45's butt that all he's got to do is say something, and it sounds like it's coming out their mouth. And that's the bad thing.
45.
Yeah. Trump.
46.
I don't respect the man so much to call him by his name as often. Matter of fact, I pretty much refer to all of them by their number.
Well, and I'm actually talking about because I mean I think that a lot of leftists, no matter what they're told, what they're whoever it is that's in office, when they say it, it's gold or platinum. It doesn't have to be questioned, because guess what? That's what they said. Trump has a lot of following that might be, that's pretty much that kind of does the same thing, but at least, like if I think sometimes they'll at least slow down and think, half of them will. You know what I'm saying? I it seems like most of the people that I see, well, I might be pushing it, not most. Some of the people that I run across, like if they're a leftist, like they really are, like it doesn't matter what they say or do. Like they could have came and slapped their mama. It's like, well, mama, what did you do?
Yeah. They don't want to talk. They want to condemn. They want to blame. They want to demoralize.
They don't actually want to have the conversation because, for one, they don't have one. Like there really is no argument because they don't know any facts. They're just going by what they were told. They haven't seen any real thing for themselves. All they know is what somebody else said.
Okay. Here's one of my biggest
Let me,
problems that I have with discussing things with the left. It's this word called empathy, and what they don't understand the difference between identifying sympathy and empathy. Empathy is about feeling what other people feel. It's not good enough to sympathize with someone's plight. It's not good enough to feel with it for someone else's plight. What they want is for you to feel like they do. They want you to suffer like they do. And that's psychopathic almost. I mean, I can feel sympathy and give the guy on the corner a couple of bucks without having to go, I understand what it feels to be you, and I feel deep in my soul, and I hurt with you and for you. That's psychotic to me.
Yeah, that's insane. That really
let me go into this. The Nancy Pelosi, we knew she was. Anyways, we got Jeffries wins historic bid to lead House
Nasty
Dems
Pelosi.
after Pelosi. So check it out. This is a black guy. So here goes the identity politics.
Yes,
This is an AP article. This is an article from the AP.
Wait a minute, hey, but before we go too far, let's first black leader of the House. Congratulations. All right, now let's get to the bullshit.
All right, it said Washington AP House Democrats ushered in a new generation of leadership on Wednesday with Representative Hakeem Jeffries elected to be the first Black American to head a major political party in Congress as a pivotal time as long-serving Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her team step aside next year. Showing rare party unity after their midterm election losses, the House Democrats moved seamlessly from one history-making leader to another, choosing the 52-year-old New Yorker who vowed to get things done in the new Congress even after Republicans won control of the chamber. The closed-door vote was unanimous by acclamation. It was unanimous? Oh. So that means he was anointed. He was picked. We got to pick. It's the black guy. The black guy. It's got to be the black guy. Let me read some more. It says, we stand on their...
We need a new face as an enemy. We don't need more white people being looked at as the enemy. We need to, we got to change the face of who people gonna hate right now.
Well, it's identity politics, and on the Republican side, it's guaranteed to be a woman gonna be the VP on the ticket. I pretty much guarantee it.
Remember, I was saying how they were going to try to dump Biden? Well, they're not now. Kamala Harris has been so horrible to everyone on both sides. No one even wants her near the president's office.
Nobody wanted her there to begin with.
But and I'm telling y'all, she could still win, and she could buy because Biden is saying that he might not run for 2024. He already been saying that. I think that's what's going to happen. So
here's the thing. The whole idea was to get him to 2 years. At 2 years, they were going to replace him with Kamala because then she could go 2 years and then run twice more for a total of 10 years. But everyone hates her so much on both sides right now.
Well, I mean, if she did
I don't know
what her job was, maybe she would have a different effect. But
I don't know about that, y'all. I can agree with you on.
Shut up.
I can agree with you that people don't like her, but will she win? If she was to get the nomination, she would get the nomination. And then it would just be the D versus the R.
One way and one way only.
Say, bro,
Michelle is VP.
Oh, no.
Nah, they're not gonna be able to do a woman ticket. That's gonna look weird.
You put Michelle Obama as VP, it don't matter who you're putting as president, she'll win.
Because see, I mean, if they were smart, I mean, if they really want, they might as well just make Michelle the president. You
If
know
they
what I'm
had put
saying?
She
Because
said
that's
she's not interested.
well,
if they had put
and it's a
Michelle
smart
as
thing.
VP,
She
It's
go
a
ahead.
said
smart thing.
she
No, I
said she's
think it's
not
a
interested.
well, yeah. She said that many times, and I mean I believe her. But like my thing is, you know, hypothetically, if we
Money
was talking
talks.
about, eh,
They making
well,
money. They cashing in right now. Both of them.
Well, they
well,
went
you
from
know,
$300,000 value when they went into office to $32 million value a few years ago. So yeah,
that's still light.
They cashing in still though.
that's
You don't
estimated.
get
You know,
money.
there's more.
Well,
Uh,
they just I don't
they're
think
cashing
everything
in.
is reported. I don't think everything is reported. Like they're probably
Of
hundreds of
course.
millions. They're like they're
Dude,
probably in the billions.
they dodge taxes like Trump in the Matrix.
Bro,
Let me read some more of this.
If Nancy Pelosi and her like with all the different deals that's been made is in like probably close to a billionaire themselves,
Oh,
billionaires, like there are definitely like I would definitely say them Obamas they don't have to do nothing else.
Let
you
me
know,
read some more of
one.
this article. Let me read some more of this article. It says, "We stand on their collective broad shoulders," Jeffrey said afterward of Pelosi and her team. "The best thing we can do as a result of seriousness and solemnity of the moment," he said earlier, "is lean in hard and do the best damn job we can for the people. It's rare that a party that lost the midterm elections would so easily regroup and stand in stark contrast with the upheaval among Republicans who are struggling to unite around GOP leader Kevin McCarthy as the new House Speaker as they prepare to take control when the new Congress convenes in January." Wednesday's internal Democratic caucus votes of Jeffries and the other top leaders came without challengers. Cheers broke out in a private meeting where typical contestant party elections unfolded instead like church service, a call and response affirming Democrats' confidence in their choices, some in the room said. The trio led by Jeffries, who will become the Democratic minority leader in the new Congress, includes 59-year-old Representative Catherine Clark of Massachusetts and the Democratic whip and 43-year-old Representative Pete Aguilar of California as caucus chairman. The new team of Democratic leaders is expected to slide into the slots held by Pelosi and her top lieutenants, Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland and Democratic Whip James Clyburn of South Carolina, as the 80-something leaders make way for the next generation. But in many ways, the trio has been transitioning in plain sight, as one aide put it. Jeffries, Clark, and Aguilar working with Pelosi's not these past several years in lower rung leadership roles as the first woman to have the Speaker's gavel prepared to step down. Pelosi of California has led the House Democrats for the past 20 years, and colleagues late Tuesday granted her the honorific title of Speaker Emerita. What the hell does that mean? Let me read a little bit more. It's an important moment for the caucus, and there's a new generation of leadership, said Chris Pappas ahead of voting. Democratic Representative Cori Bush of Missouri called the leadership election historic and a time for change. While Democrats will be relegated to the House minority in the new year for the 118th Congress, they will have a certain amount of leverage because the Republican majority is expected to be so slim and McCarthy's hold on his party fragile. The House two new potential leaders, Jeffries and McCarthy, are the same generation but have almost no relationship to speak of. In fact, the Democrat is known for leveling political barbs and the Republican from afar, particularly over the GOP's embrace of former President Donald Trump. Jeffries served as House manager during Trump's first impeachment. Jeffries said Wednesday, "We will work with Republicans whenever possible, but we will also push back against extremism whenever necessary." Okay, I don't want to read anymore because this is a lot of dribble.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
actually
Y'all
like that.
comments?
I actually like that last statement that you read that he made. Say, we'll work with them when possible, but push back against extremism. And I think that's something that both sides need to adopt. I mean,
Yeah.
this
I agree with
extremism
that.
is, well, friggin' extreme.
Very.
Yeah.
And I've
Out of
never,
control.
I mean, I grew up, I'm a millennial, man. I grew up in the fuck it generation, you know? I mean,
Wait a minute,
if it
you're a
did,
millennial?
yeah, I'm 68.
Huh?
Or excuse me, I'm X. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I'm Generation X. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm an X. That's why I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
hold
I'm part of the fuck it generation, you know? Not fuck it,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
not that
but
bad. We can work on it. It can be
yeah,
made better.
yeah.
Chill, dude. Let's figure this the fuck out.
But at the same time, we didn't know how bad it really was. We didn't have we didn't have the information at our fingertips the way that, you know, the millennials and the Z's have.
Well, no,
And
we were
that,
the generation that thought the guy that ate the Pop Rocks and then drank the Coke had his head exploded because we didn't have a way to find out otherwise.
yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about, that urban legend.
Well, I've heard of, I've heard of
It-
it. I mean, it's not something
yeah.
that I learned much about, but
No, but it's an example of the things that's like we heard and it's like, well, it sounds like that might have happened. And we believed it because we didn't have the internet to find out.
yeah.
People don't realize it's nothing in the world has gotten that much worse. We just have so much information available at our fingertips immediately now.
Mm-hmm.
And bad information, bad news has always traveled faster. It's always been more powerful. So we're worshiping all this bad news. Oh, it's so horrible everywhere around. Now tell me, what about the 800 stories to every 100 stories about the kid walking the grandma across the street, or the guy stopping his car to get a dog that was limping across the street out of the way before he got hit? You never hear that because those don't produce clicks. Those don't make money.
Yeah.
But those are the stories that we need once in a while. I actually think you should take like once a month or once every 2 or 3 months, one show, nothing but positive news. People doing great shit for other people. You
Yes,
know,
but
people
that's gonna piss people off. Like I didn't turn on the news.
Good.
And see this shit.
Good. I'm glad it pisses people off. You know why? That proves that there's a problem in them, not the world. That they want to see bad things. They want to see people hurt. What is wrong with them?
I've always thought that, I mean, you know, believe that there's way more good going on than bad, but that the bad is what gets promoted. And then, you know, that's what people believe is really more so going on than, you know, like it's like the fear and horror, like all these different things is what gets people attention. And it's like, wait a minute, what happened? What's going on? Wait a minute, oh, they did what? And then like it may not even like it's an exaggeration. Like, I mean, some stuff, you know we get to see, because even now, like some stuff that they catching on phones with videos and camera and stuff like that, we're able to see some of these things. But that's one isolate, let's just say per every quarter or however often it is, that's one insulated thing that they make. You know what I'm saying? While we're talking about that one incident, there's 1,000 other that's happened somewhere else that didn't get talked about. So it's like programming you to what to care about and what not to.
Weapons of mass distraction. I've said it many times and I'll keep saying it. Ooh, look at this, look at this, look at this. Oh, what's going on over there? It doesn't matter. Look at this.
No, I mean like I'm a part of the crew. I done got played many times. I guess that's why I'm so angry about different things that's going on. And then for when you try to have the conversation with people that you usually know to have good sense, and now it's just kind of like totally going out the window. Like it bothers me because it's like, wait a minute, hold on, what? I mean, they got him. Like, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm living. They got him. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even care. Like, it's almost like they don't even care anymore. Like, have kids, grandkids, and like, I think people don't even care about the future anymore, or or feel like there is no future. So,
it's okay. I'm gonna tell you, Generation X. The worst song of our whole generation, in my opinion, was Waiting for the World to Change.
Waiting.
You're waiting for the world to change, however it goes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, that is the worst song ever up until I've got the new worst song, but it's the worst song. It made our whole generation look like we don't care. We're just waiting on something better to come along. And that's really not the way we were. The way things are going, more acceptance, gay, trans, all of that stuff, human rights, all of that. We were doing that back in those days.
Bro,
I mean, we weren't protesting in the streets. We were recognizing it amongst our friends. We were normalizing it amongst everybody instead of making it something you have to do or you don't think right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, like, maybe what I'm about to say is gonna sound really messed up, but to some extent, I would say Christianity. It's like waiting on Jesus to come and save you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because most people believe that that's it's outside. That energy is outside of themselves. Like, you are to save yourself and the people around you. But
the whole new covenant kind of did that, and that's something that most people don't. Everyone quoting the Old Testament and all that crap to you and stuff like that are technically wrong nowadays because those aren't the rules anymore. There is only one. Believe that he came, died for your sins, blah, 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 all of that. And you're forgiven, which gives people a pass to be dicks. I mean, just like another religion I won't specify, but we've talked about before, says if you don't believe that this God is the only one and this is his only prophet, then you're an infidel. And because of that, it doesn't matter what we do to you because you don't matter. I mean, religion somewhere in the 300s to 900s started becoming more of an excuse to fuck people over than it was to empower your people and to lift yourself up.
Well, no.
I mean, the spirituality was lost and the control happened. Just a thought, randomly.
No, I think you got something there because I mean, really, me pinpointing one, because I think religion as a whole has stifled us instead of, of course, I have my beliefs. I do believe in the Bible, and that there's certain usages for it. But as far as getting caught up into narratives, whether it's religious narratives, whether it's political narratives, all these different narratives that they try to give us and tell us this is how you should see it, we need to be very mindful. We need to be maybe even scared, because like what narratives have they brought up that actually has benefited us? And I wait. I'm just I really would love to hear what that is.
Yeah, basic systems of law, which admittedly were there since Justinian and times before that and things like that. It's not an all bad thing, and that's the thing. Everyone wants to go, oh, religion is so bad, all this. It's not religion as much as it is the huge organized religion that has come from everything. The whole time we were going to go, hey, we're going to go raid Area 51. Yeah, it's like, hey, tell you what, here in America, we'll take on the predators. In Europe, why don't you guys raid the Vatican, take on the predators? I mean, then we got both of them covered. Sorry, that's a bad thing.
I've heard.
I shouldn't say stuff like that.
No, well, I'm shit. You saying the right type talk with me, but from what I understand, there's a lot of stuff going on at the Vatican that the rest of the world would.
Oh God, I would love to get in their vaults for a little while, just with stuff that I know I can read. Not to mention all this history that they have hiding away from the world.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they have most of our relics and stuff that came from the Mayans and previous
everything that they could beg, borrow, steal, or buy, including a whole lot from what I understand. And I can't verify this. This is just some stuff that was progressed in other channels and things. They ended up with a whole lot of the Nazi relics and stuff that vanished and things. I mean, because it went up for sale. It went up on the black market, and there is no entity in the entire world with more money, power, and influence than the Roman Catholic Church.
How did that
happen? Because they convinced the populace that they gave the authority of the kings to rule through God, which means they were more important than the kings, which means
the papal bull.
The whole, papal bull shit.
The doctrine of discovery.
Well, yes.
Man, I'm gonna change the subject a bit, because I want to touch on this labor stuff. So, they've been firing people left and right. Let me read this one. It says, company fires 2,700 workers while they were sleeping days before Thanksgiving. A Mississippi-based furniture company abruptly fired nearly 2,700 workers in the U.S. just days before Thanksgiving, according to multiple reports. Right before midnight on the 21st of November, thousands of workers, many of whom were asleep, receiving a text message from United Furniture Industries saying that they were terminated effectively and were no longer allowed to return to work. At the instruction of the board of directors, we regret to inform you that due to unforeseen business circumstances, the company has been forced to make the difficult decision to terminate the employment of all its employees effective immediately. The message, which the New York Post reviewed, said, it will be permanent and all benefits will be terminated immediately without provision of COBRA. A follow-up email from the company read, referring to a federal law that gives employees who lose their jobs the option to keep their employee-sponsored health insurance under certain circumstances. The company also instructed its drivers to immediately return equipment, inventory, and delivery documents, regardless of whether or not they have completed their delivery. Employees were given no explanation for why they were terminated so abruptly. On Tuesday, UFI sent out an update regarding the retrieval of their belongings, which Freightways, as soon as the property manager can provide a safe and orderly process for former employees to come and gather their belongings, we will do so. We are not certain of the time frame for this, but will communicate proactively, the email said. In response, numerous employees expressed shock and frustration at their abrupt firing. One employee told FreightWaves, "It's not fair to the laborers who seriously worked so hard to be blindsided like this. It's not fair to the mom who just had a baby to wonder if she even has health insurance to cover it. It's not fair to the cancer patient in the midst of chemo about how to pay for treatments."
And who was this?
The name of the company was, hold on, they said it. United Furniture Industry. No, that's not it. Is that it? United Furniture Industry. Yeah, that's it. UFI. So, but this is my point though, because this is what they're doing left and right. It's the big squeeze. So
that
just
sounds
go get,
either like a bankruptcy or a sellout.
so yeah, so but still, regardless of what happened, screw the workers, right? Screw them. Just get you could just go get another job or whatever, So, but when you have strong unions, they can't do this kind of thing. So at least they have to take care of you for your transition into whatever the hell. Now, if the company just went out of business, I totally get it. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what this is saying. So, and most of the time, it's just what's happening is these companies are just making more money, but because everything is getting more mechanized, they have automation, and or within the case of the trains, they just cutting the shit to the bare bones and making as much money as they can with spending as little as possible,
But
and focusing on stock buybacks to just flip the money for the investors. Because long as the investors, even if the company is shit, and it's not, because like they were saying about the rail workers, the people are complaining, the customers, the ones that receive the freight or ship the freight or whatever the hell, because the services are sucking, because they not doing a good job. They don't care because the damn investors are still getting their freaking dividends. And also we have monopoly. So there's nobody else for them to go to. There's no real competition. There's no real free market. So, either you deal with our shit or you don't get your shit shipped.
Wow. Last week, I think, last week, a week before last, I know it was like a couple of trucking companies had some big layoffs.
They're doing it all over the place. Twitter laid off a bunch. Facebook laid off a bunch of people. Who else? Amazon laid off a bunch of people. This is all in the last couple months. Thousands and thousands of people.
We just got 2 years of people making more money free from the government than they had been making at their real jobs. Yeah, the money's gone. Free money's not there. People aren't throwing money away and spending irresponsibly anymore.
So they
what are you gonna do? You got to cut because you don't have the money coming in anymore.
No, that's not these companies. These companies didn't rely on that. You're talking about regular folks.
He's not looking at the actual, like, these people are actually having record profits, like never seen and made before.
Over the last year or two, because now we're talking about transportation companies.
Longer than that for the
we're talking about corporate
companies.
America. We're talking about corporate America, period.
They're making loot all over the place. Look at did you see the chart for the freaking oil companies? Everybody is making loot. And then they're laying people off. It's the squeeze.
Oh, I dropped you a link to worldwide oil prices. That's like updates every half hour or so. It takes a little bit to figure out what it's all saying, but once you do, it's like
the average.
It tells you.
Does it give you an average of what is being sold worldwide?
You can actually see each country, the type of oil, and what it produces, and what it's selling at. And it's broken down by country and stuff all like that. Yeah. I sent it to your messenger.
All right. The other big thing that happened
And I
in the news.
I sent a link to the microphone because you seem to like it.
Yeah. The other big thing that happened in the news is the same-sex and interracial marriage thing.
Yeah.
They passed. Did they pass that today? I think they passed that today.
That was last week, huh?
No, this just happened.
You know, that should have been done a long time ago. I mean, marriage for a long time has not been a religious matter. It's been a secular matter. Since divorce became more and more common, it is contracts and legality and things like that. So, you know, if they want to do that and they want to make that bind between them, fine.
Well, you know that's not something that had to happen the way that they did it, because, you know, really, you know, we talking about a separation of church and state, like legally, you know, just based on the proper structure of paperwork, they could have done that without anybody's permission.
Should have done that.
Yeah, but it's bigger than that. Like, you know,
Yeah.
they're not doing it just for the
My
sake
like or
of,
agreement is not necessary. This is a matter of what's right today.
well, no, I'm just saying, like, I mean, if people were genuinely trying to do this because this is just something that they want to do, like, it wouldn't have to be a big fight within Congress, because, like, people make marriages all the time on paperwork, but you know what I'm saying, like, business deals, they happen all the time, and it's a
Yes.
contract is you know, basically two people that agree on something, and that's that. And you can get it notarized, you can, you know, whatever. All of what they're doing, because see, the whole thing is to me is more so to pervert minds or to open minds to certain things that they hadn't before, so that it eases bringing in other things. It's all like psychological reinforcing,
Generational warfare.
pretty much. And
It's making each generation more susceptible and more open to the next wave of control, thought, things like that.
Well, we're gonna go in that direction for sure, because I got some other things that. What's that dude? He said some inflammatory
Balenciaga?
stuff. Not Balenciaga. Let me play this first.
Pastor Laura Harris-Faree and Kate Harris-Faree are watching closely as Congress debates legislation protecting same-sex marriage.
It's extremely important for all of our friends who are in the same spot.
When the Supreme Court overturned the constitutional right to abortion nationwide, Justice Clarence Thomas suggested same-sex marriage should also be reconsidered. That left many same-sex married couples in a panic around the country on what rights the conservative-leaning court could take away next.
We knew that
Nothing in the
Illinois we would
Constitution
probably be
against it.
okay, but we got married in Ohio, and we didn't know if our marriage license would stand up or what we would need to do, and we have a 1-year-old child.
Tonight, the Senate passed the bipartisan Respect for Marriage Act. It would not codify the 2015 Supreme Court decision legalizing gay marriage nationwide or force any state to allow same-sex couples to marry, but it would require states to recognize all marriages that were legal where they were performed and protect current same-sex unions.
But it doesn't prevent states from deciding that same-sex couples can no longer get married.
If your home state won't marry you, you can go to another state, get married there, bring the marriage license back to your home state, and your home state has got to recognize it.
If approved, it would not require nonprofit religious organizations to hold a same-sex wedding or related celebration. Pastor Harris-Faree, who heads Grace Lutheran Church in Evanston, knows all too well how same-sex marriage remains a hot-button issue in many churches.
One of the reasons I became a pastor was to make sure that other people did not have the experience I did in the church of being told that I was sinful, that I needed to change who I was.
As families like the Harris-Farees celebrate progress made over the years, it doesn't go unnoticed that their right to exist remains up for debate. Will Jones, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Did you see what China voted against it?
Oh no, I didn't hear nothing about that. But because of this is all in the news, and everyone's talking about it. Like, it's this is this inflammatory stuff that gets us distracted from actually what's going on. But
okay, the whole idea of tagging interracial marriage to that is ridiculous.
No, we said that on the other show.
Last week.
This is not an issue about man, woman, black, white. It's an issue about same-sex marriage. That is the only thing on the table.
But the way the legislation was written originally, it was for interracial marriage, and then they tacked on
same-sex.
Right. So, and that's how they got it through.
That was to protect it, because you can't pull out the same sex unless you pull out the interracial.
Right.
And you can't do that. It's a chess move. It wasn't.
That's why they did it.
It's
like
bullshit.
That. So
I mean, that's one of those. As far as things, man, I've been an ordained minister since 1994. I've performed probably 30, 40 marriages, of which probably 6 or 8 of them were same-sex couples. The only rule that I have about that is I cannot marry you on holy ground or on the ground of a church that does not believe in same-sex marriage. Other than that, I'll do it. It's not a problem. I'm happy to.
Let me play this.
Damn, my forehead got old.
You what?
I said my forehead looks older than it did last time I was on camera.
Oh, I thought you said your phone got old. I'm like,
well, actually, more like my 8 head.
I got at least a 5 head. So.
Oh man, when mine got to 16 head, I cut my long hair because I was trying to make fun of the guy down at the end of the bar that had the long hair and the ponytail that didn't quite cover it. And then I realized I was looking in a mirror.
Oh, damn.
Let me play this. This Chris Hayes reacts to comments made by Nick Fuentes, the controversial stuff.
That's the kind of guy Trump met with. Because part of his base likes that stuff.
I don't support women's rights. I don't support LGBT rights. I believe in race and gender essentialism. I'm Catholic. I'm a Catholic reactionary. I believe that organized Jewry is extremely influential in the United States and pushes America towards an open society, liberalism, internationalism for their own benefit.
That's it, right? All the tropes right there. Organized Jewry, pulling the puppet strings of American liberalism and tolerance for their own benefit. Down the line stuff. And again, I'm playing 2 clips. We can sit here for an hour, okay?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy Trump met with. Because part of his base likes that stuff.
I don't support women's rights. I don't support.
Okay, comments.
I don't know. It's to me. I don't know. Well, we're talking. What angle we talking about from the point that he met with Trump? That this is the guy that Trump met with.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I like the comments that he made. Yeah, and like that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, it's a bunch of ignorance because I mean, all right, I mean, honestly, like there's certain things because I mean, my thing is more so extremism because I mean, everybody has their own thing. They want to do what they want to do. Hey, look, do you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just prefer not to have to see it all in public, extremely. You know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to force me to accept certain things. Like, just be modest, just be normal, average people, and if that's whatever it is that you do what you like or whatever, like you can have that. Nobody's taking it away from you. Like, to me, it just seems like a lot of times, like especially when it comes to the, because I mean, I don't know too many like LGBT that's just like flamboyant. I got a few, cousins that might be a little bit on the, but not to the point where it's just like all in your face type stuff. They're more conservative with it. So, but and I know that we see a lot of stuff we see on TV is probably pushed to try to get some kind of whatever. But I mean, this dude sounds really ridiculous just because of, yeah, I don't support women's rights. Why not? What's wrong? Why women shouldn't have rights? Like you know what I'm saying? Like this is, I don't know, bro. It's just it sounds kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he met with Trump, I don't think that really, what does that necessarily say? I don't know. So I mean, look, I've had conversations with probably some of the craziest people. It doesn't mean that it's gonna go any further than that conversation.
I apologize. I'm all over the place because I can't find all the clips to go together with the stuff. But check this out about the cryptocurrency guy who died. And then there's another one who died. So check this.
The Chinese, wait a minute.
This one is the Chinese guy, but there's another one.
Oh, that feels so much better.
Listed as a pioneer and a thought leader. The co-founder of a prominent 30. Tian Cullender, a former Morgan Stanley trader who helped found the digital asset company the Amber Group, passed away unexpectedly on Wednesday. In a statement posted to company's website, the firm said the news came with the deepest sadness and a heavy heart. Also known as TT, he was described as a devoted husband, a loving father and a fierce friend. The statement continued, his passing is a tragedy and our thoughts and prayers are with his family. He is survived by his wife and their beloved son. We kindly request that you respect their privacy during this difficult time. Back in 2019, Mr. Cullender made the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. And the Amber Group was most recently valued at $3 billion. The statement hailed Mr. Cullender as instrumental to the founding of Amber and a pillar of our success, praising his work as a respected thought leader who was widely recognized as a pioneer for the industry. It continued, he put his heart and soul into the company. In every stage of its growth, he led by example with his intellect, generosity, humility, diligence, and creativity. It added, his depth of knowledge. His willingness to collaborate and his desire to always help others benefited countless start-ups and individuals. His insights and creativity inspired many projects, people and communities. Besides co-founding Amber and building it into a multi-billion fintech unicorn, TT sat on the board of Fnatic, one of the world's most successful e-sports organizations, and founded KeeperDAO, the first on-chain liquidity underwriter, before giving it back to its community.
Okay. So the point is the guy died mysteriously. And it's like, what the hell? At age 30.
Yeah, no, if I say it, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, just think about, because I mean, some of these people that, the whole idea with the shutdown of the cryptocurrency because of the decentralized portion of it, where our governments want to regulate and tax and all these different things. I mean, just like they go and take over countries, that's what they're going to do with this crypto. You a billionaire from crypto? Oh yeah, you a problem for them. And instead of doing things the right way, it's just like they're just gonna do it though?
The more I think about that, though, I think it's really the flip on that. You know, I think it's the flip on that. I think that the totalitarian system would be perfect if it was some kind of digital currency like that, so easily controlled as far as turn your shit off or some shit, you know, or just turn the internet off or whatever. And
No,
like,
no, no.
so the
Go
paper
ahead.
currency or the coins, gold, silver, or something like that, I think it's much more difficult for them to actually regulate that and control that. But that's what I've been
Well,
thinking. I'm thinking that it's like they're tricking us into like, okay, this is the anti-government stuff or this is the decentralized stuff, and it's actually exactly what they want for the like new world order.
well, I think see the thing about that is that they want the cryptocurrency. They want that control that you're talking about, but at the same time, they also want to have it regulated so that they can like tax you in multiple ways. Like total control means total control, and you know, honestly, it just, I mean, because if they try to do, because I think like the way that they're breaking down a lot of business and stuff, like they would rather have the, you know, the global community as capitalists, and then every nation under that is under a socialized program, so that you get what they give you. And
I think they already got it how they want it, and it's great for them because it's like I played the clip of Immortal Technique talking about how it's like socialism, you know, for the corporations and rugged capitalism for all the rest of us. The damn tax money going into all the subsidies, you know, they benefit from the infrastructures more than anybody. You talk about Amazon and all the trucks on the damn road, you know, this is how it is. Like, he made the example of the lemonade stand. He said that, you know, the little girl goes out there with the lemonade stand.
yeah,
Were you in here when I was covering that? And
that was the day. That was you did the day show.
yeah, so the kid with the lemonade stand, but he's like, you didn't buy the lemons.
Yeah, your mom and dad. Yeah,
You didn't pay for the water, you know.
Yeah.
You're not gonna clean up after your mess. Basically, he made the analogy that that's how the corporations work, you know, and they get to they go home with the money. It's private money though. It's like how they came up with these drugs and these vaccines and shit, and they use the damn public money, tax money, to research this shit and come up with it, and then as soon as it's done, now it's owned by a private person, and they get to make the money and get rich.
Yeah.
And
I
we
mean,
don't get shit.
A lot of people don't know that they got robbed when all that happened. Yeah, okay, you got, you know, your jab and all that, but you were getting robbed at the same time. Like, they forced the stronghold. Like, instead of allowing you to say, all right, you know what, I'm gonna pay for it, or I'm not gonna pay for it, whatever. Like, no, you paying for it whether you get it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Let me play this other clip. This is another person that went through the check.
And I reported about this 3 weeks ago, where he said that the CIA and Mossad and these, you can read that for yourself, are, you know, after him for trafficking and entrapment. What a messed up. And only last week, November 23rd, Colander, the co-founder of another crypto company, Amber Group, died in his sleep. He was only 30 years old. And John McPhee died hanging in a Spanish prison cell. Just like Epstein, huh? Wow, another crypto billionaire is dead. This time, mysteriously killed in a helicopter crash. And he's Russian cryptocurrency billionaire. And this is after his crypto exchange was stripped of his license in Russia in 2018 because he has too many dissatisfied clients and enemies in Russia. And this is happening only 3 weeks after another major crypto co-founder of MakerDAO was found dead after tweeting about this thing, trafficking by the CIA. And I reported about this 3 weeks ago, where he said that the CIA and Mossad and these, you can read that for yourself, are, you know, after him for trafficking and entrapment. What a messed up. And only last week, November 23rd, Colander, the co-founder of another crypto company, Amber Group, died in his sleep. He was only 30 years old. And John McPhee died hanging in a Spanish prison cell. Just like Epstein, huh? Wow, another crypto billionaire.
I think a lot of this shit is pyramid schemes and just scam, Ponzi schemes, you know? And these people live in these extreme lives. No telling how they died. I don't see it as a conspiracy with this. I'm not seeing that. What the conspiracy I'm seeing is it's really all a bunch of Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes and just ripping people off. And that's what's really happening.
Come on, man. Look, there's nothing different. The only thing that's different about crypto is the fact that the technology is higher. That's the only difference. I mean, it's out of thin. It's pretty much out of thin air. Like, I mean, they create.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
How you're okay with USD? These Federal Reserve notes. I mean, that's built. That comes out of thin air too.
And I get you, but at the very least, I got something physical in my hand that I could, hold.
Bro, but that's the whole thing. I mean, you think just because it's physical means more? They can shut off the banks right now. Like, can't go get nothing. Like, I mean, bro, like if you see it in the game, you've seen any other form of money other than the fact that because I mean, yes, there's things that I don't necessarily care for because I'm old school. I rather have my my dollars whether they were printed out of thin air or not, but crypto is no different. They just have a technology that is supposed to protect it, but I mean, the way our government is, who that's a lot of noise in the background that
yeah, I'm picking up a lot of everything. Your mic is so good, it's getting everything, bro.
Yeah.
Real clear too.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
Trying to say that it's a Ponzi scheme. I mean, if it is, I tell you what, it's the best one ever that people have actually, like, I mean, but if it was really a Ponzi scheme, these people would really just be getting, they would much rather lock them up. But because they know they can't really do much with them, yeah, they just kill them and then they can absorb anything that they've got. I mean, just like they would do for like when they want to run a coup on a country, like that's like their go-to plan. You're not working with us the way we want you to, so you die. We come in, we replace you with somebody that is cooperative, and back to business as usual. I mean, it's no different based on what money you have. We're talking about people that's trying to run a system. Like they're really trying to, like, they're grasping at ghosts because a lot of things that they want to just fall into their hands just doesn't. It can't right now because they don't really have the power that they used to have. Like the controlling of people's minds is necessary right now because they're given the illusion that they're still the big bad America, but shit, there's others that's out there like I wish you would come on over here with that crap. You know what I'm saying? But just I mean, I think that's just a big like that's a huge accusation to say because I mean I still look at crypto just like fiat. I mean it's a medium of exchange. Just the same way as USD, the yuan, the ruble, the peso, whatever. It's just a medium of exchange.
I might have to save some of this stuff because I don't know my problem is I don't know what I want to cover. Is so much stuff. Let's talk about the water right quick. I was saying that it was like something they're not telling us, and then we had the water thing. Now they're saying that waterman breaks. Why do they
breaks on an average day? In this past summer, that number shot up to as many as 1,100 breaks in one day. Get this morning alone, according to Public Works, there were 632 active leaks. That stat shared with us this morning. So now the city is looking at all options to pay for this. Again, between $22 and $25 million. Clearly a major problem in the city of Houston.
The mayor said that Houston is being overwhelmed by water main breaks.
Mayor Sylvester Turner points out we usually see about 400 water main breaks on an average day. And this past summer, that number shot up to as many as 1,100 breaks in one day. Get this.
So wait. Does it have anything to do with what they were talking about with the pressure that they had to put in the system, or the pressure? They said the pressure dropped. Or maybe it's just simply just because the infrastructure is so old and not taken care of, and it's just shitty. Or is it a combination of those things?
You got me. I mean, I can only assume, but I mean, I doubt they went through breaking people's shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I mean, I think the pressure could have a lot to do with it. The old pipes, under a lot of stress and pressure. So, I mean, it makes sense that those things could happen. I mean, and I know, like, I was still trying to understand the whole idea with everything on one, like the pressure, because it says like the pressure was all on from one system all over the city.
Yeah, that's what was throwing me off about that.
Yeah, but I mean 600. Well, 600 leaks. Is that separate home? Is that because I'm somewhat confused. I heard what they said, but I'm trying to put it together. But
they said Houston overwhelmed by water main breaks. It says 22 to 25 million needed now for emergency repairs.
Dude, 400 water main breaks a day. That already sounds like we're addressing a problem. I mean, just my thoughts on the matter.
And then they said it spiked up to 1,100 in a day. And is that after this water situation? That's what I wonder.
I mean,
is that
that's
what they were saying?
1,100 breaks. How insane! Like that? How insane is that?
I mean, that you would think that that's a lot, but I mean, when you're looking at a city that's got 3 million people.
Yeah, well, still, I mean, I know we got a huge ass city, but that shouldn't be the case.
Greater Houston area, including all the suburbs, is pushing 7 million.
Well, yeah,
we're the fourth largest city in the freaking country.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
the largest city in the South.
It's regardless. There ain't no excuse. I mean, that's an issue that needs to be dealt with, right? So like, it's revealing that our water infrastructure is precarious.
Well, see, and I mean, my thing is, I mean, I get it that the budget speaks for this, that, and the third, however is needed at the time, but when we're talking about water supply, I mean, at this point, electricity, because I mean they've been talking about the grid.
Yeah,
like
they still haven't fixed that. And we could still, if we got another ice storm like we had last time, we could go through that whole thing again.
That was like 2 years ago now, but
one of the things being talked about in the Texas Senate right now is the fact that our property taxes have been so high for so long,
but nothing is getting done with it.
There is a huge surplus, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do with that. And I'm like, there's a surplus big enough right now that they could give every single Texas resident a $1,000 check, and there would still be a little bit of money left over.
But why do that?
Exactly. Well, see, that's what the Democrats want. They want, hey, let's get some free money. I'm like, well, it sounds to me like this is the perfect time to take half of that and put it into infrastructure and the power grid, and the other half of it to split between the bigger cities and all of that, and maybe spend a little bit of it on some border wall and things like that.
Border wall.
Okay.
Now you trying to piss off. You trying to piss off.
Are plane tickets to send out immigrants? That sounds like what they were sending on.
Well, everyone's all, border walls, they don't work and stuff like that, but they don't understand the logistics of what a wall does. It doesn't stop people from going over and under. It challenges people to go to the path of least resistance.
And drives them into the desert and they die.
If you got 80 miles of border wall with a 20-mile opening, then most of the people that try to get past that are going to go through that 20 miles. So instead of having to patrol all of it all the time, you can concentrate forces and things like that. Now, as far as where it drives them to, that's a whole nother logistical thing, and people that are building should be smacked. But at the same time, you know how I am about the rape trees and stuff like that, which people don't know about and need to.
Yeah, but the other factor on this that I brought up in the other show is the wildlife. How wildlife get affected by these fences and walls.
Yes, absolutely.
And
that is a problem as well.
Their migration patterns or their ability to get to food and water. So it's like we're so selfish, and then it's crazy how we don't feel like we're connected to nature. Like if it wasn't no more animals and stuff and plants and shit, then we won't have nothing to eat. Like we're done, we're toasted. That's what they trying to sell us on, eating bugs and stuff now. And squid, the crab is gone. They've been overfishing the ocean.
High protein, easy to produce.
We're gonna be eating squid and insects. They came out with this. They're calling it chicken. I think they're calling it chicken, but it's created in the lab. It's and the USDA approved it. This happened recently. Since I brought that up, I wanna look for that.
China came up with some new eggs. You heard about that?
No, but okay, USDA approved. What is it? The meat that lab they make this shit. It's made in the lab. So and before
burgers? No, I'm just kidding.
So
it's actually printed by like you the 3D printers, but it's printed from protein chains.
Yeah,
it's
so
actually
it won't be long before that shit gonna be in. Oh, well, that it
already is.
Telling what everything we eating. They probably already doing it. They even told us. Oh man.
Well, I mean, just
It's
think
like,
about
actually, we
about
approved-
about 5 or 6 years ago, they was talking about how we were being sold millions of pounds of rat meat as chicken. Like, bone, like what we chicken tenders and this, that, and the other. That's why I stopped eating chicken tenders a long time ago.
Here, let me play this.
For the first time, the FDA is approving lab-grown meat. Yes, the company Upside Foods created a cultivated chicken product using a single-cell chicken. Scientists said roughly all human greenhouse gases stem from food production. Not only could lab-grown meat cut down gases, it could also help fight hunger. For the first time,
they say it could fight world hunger. That means they're gonna be giving it to African
Richard Southern is
countries
back
or
with us
something.
to chat about some of the day's most interesting stories.
the price
And it's the
point?
dinner hour, Richard. So let's start with a food story.
Yay, yummy, Erica. It's a Petri dish chicken now on the menu. Lab-grown meat is a thing. It's gotten the AOK from U.S. authorities. There's a big company out in California, a new one called Upside Foods. And what they do, Erica, they make chicken from cultured chicken cells. So they get the chicken cells, they put them in a Petri dish, and they grow some meat instead of having to slaughter a chicken. And advocates, they hope now that this lab-grown meat will reduce the need not only to slaughter animals, but will help climate, because a lot of greenhouse gas emissions comes from factory farming. So the question, Erica, is would you dig in to some Petri dish chicken?
I would.
I'm sorry. If cow farts and all that stuff produce so much global warming, I want to know how much of this bullshit hot air that the politicians talk during election year contributes to global warming.
Way more than the animals.
Fuck yeah. Not to mention 22 burning cities for the last 2 years.
But one thing I want to mention is the fact that what does the USDA not approve?
I'm telling you, there's a whole
anything
thing.
they're not paid to.
Exactly. If depending on the pockets, your pockets.
Because I mean, if you really think about like the FDA, USDA, like they don't approve things that's good for you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like all of my supplements is like not, it tells me that the FDA did not approve it, but you know what I'm saying?
It's
know
like,
what
it's like the lobbyists.
Anything Monsanto tells them to approve.
Right. It's the corporations. Whoever has the most money, they're gonna lobby their way into whatever. Like shit, That's as simple as that, and that's the problem. So if we really want to fix things, the money out of politics, the lobbying, get that shit out of there. The people need to be able to run on their own. Like they don't need all these damn TV ads. It's all about that whatever money they can build from their people that want them to, run. Simple as that. So that way it'll put y'all on even field. If you can't build a coalition of people that's willing to support you, then you're not going to be able to compete. And the other part is with the corporations, the monopolies, the oligarchies, you have to bust those up, but you also have to watch how they spend their money on what they how they influence elections, how they influence stuff being approved by the FDA. This is all corruption, really.
Well, I think that there has to be strict, because I mean a lot of the ease that the FDA has or the USDA has is regulated by the government. So if we actually have good standards to go by and they actually follow those standards, because I think they really, they hold to whatever the standards are that's implied, but they're so weak.
They're weak because the politicians got pressure on them, from the corporations to pass these weak ass legislation, these weak ass,
Because most of the people that's there, they're Americans, but they have the heads up on what not to touch, what to give their family, what not to, where the rest of us don't.
Look, here's an interesting dynamic that I was thinking about today. And you know how like South Park had that episode where they're like, they took our jobs, that's the super hilarious. and talking about the border, and they're really talking about Hispanics or whatever. But it's actually these Europeans, like those jobs, the ones that you want, these people are not from the United States. So I think people are forgetting that these big companies, like whatever corporation you want to name, you know, huge amounts of them are not from the United States.
They
and
are
they're
foreigners, yes.
and they are big wigs in the company. They're the ones that's making decisions about this, that, and the other. How much do you really think they really care about the American people? They're not even from here. They probably don't even live here, really.
Bro, I've had that conversation so many times, and I mean, and I'm not necessarily talking about you know, second, third, you know, generation, you know, foreigners. I mean, we're talking about like some mega rich billionaires, like this is their first, you know, go around. Like, I mean,
They don't have to be rich. These are regular folks that just work at these jobs. And that's what I'm saying.
Just workers. All right, I'm thinking more business.
No, I'm talking about workers, but they are the ones that's inside of the company, and they are part of making the decisions about this, that day-to-day decisions. You get what I'm saying? These people, they come over, they're coming from like France, they're coming from, you know, wherever, the UK, even other countries, and they get these jobs over here in the States in this corporation. And, you know, I know it's true. I work in the restaurant business. I see them come in all the time. I can identify them clearly. Whatever company it is they're working for. And they're not from here, bro. Like, so how much, you know, alliance do you think they really have with the American people? Or how much concern do they really have with the American people? And what poisons their company is putting out or whatever the hell? You get what I'm saying?
No, I totally get it. I think we
this
might
is
have
how
even
it
had
works.
this conversation before.
Yeah, because we talked about, not this one specifically, we talked about like the police or whatever, like a military, and like if you get, you know, independent contractors, then, and they don't have no alliance to the people, then you could just give them orders and they can just do atrocities, you know? So because like the police are they're from the neighborhood, they get some screwed up order that's telling them to like slaughter some people in the damn community or whatever, and they're gonna be like, nah, I'm not doing that. These are my freaking, I know these people, like,
okay,
these are my cousins and shit.
Here we go on this. I want to go back to something that happened during 45 administration that we didn't find out till later. Remember, the head general of the army actually told all the branches of, or the head military guy under 45 told all the other branches of the army that any orders that come through him go through me. He actually told China, hey man, if he's going to do anything dumb, I'll let you know. So am I not wrong in saying that at that point in time, the military had actually performed a coup and was in charge of the government? Because the military ultimately is supposed to have a civilian leader. And he said, all orders of the civilian leader have to come through me. And this guy is still the guy in charge of all of our military.
I think that's been the case for a long time, you know, because we talk about like the CIA or whatever, and then we talk about like a shadow government, and you see how like the military industrial complex, they just get whatever they want.
But this has come out in public, though, that he actually told a foreign government that I will let you know if he's going to do something stupid. He actually said, if this guy gives you an order, it needs to come through me first.
I think it's interesting that it got
the
out.
Military was in charge of our government. and this guy.
I don't think that's a
No.
new thing. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think the guy
I-
should be bounced out of office, but no, actually, I do.
But
I
we
think
gotta
the guy
about
should
this.
be asked to retire.
Look, listen. I think that has always happened. Because
Absolutely, but he made it public.
I mean, everything is public.
I
mean, because
understand,
the protocol, the
but that is
protocols are not.
actively taking control of our government by the military.
Because
No,
what
that's-
Doc is saying, officially, that's the order of
That
operations.
is the worst thing that can happen.
That's the order of operations is supposed to be a civilian is supposed to be in charge. That's the way it's written. I think wherever the hell that's the law or whatever. But
Now,
at the
it's
same
been-
time, what I
it's
think
been
Pat
under
is
the
saying-
covers
So is
the whole time. It's been
is the
no one-
president actually a civilian? Is that
Yes.
is it?
He's not enlisted in the military. He's not a
he
military.
is the commander in chief of the military, but he is in charge of the civilian government. The military is not allowed to operate on American soil.
So that's what it is. So
So are
damn
you
it,
saying
made
that
me
this is
forget.
a foreign? So do you believe that this is a foreign?
No,
colonel or
I
or
absolutely 100% understand what he did. And
So
was
yeah,
saying.
so wait, this is what I was gonna say. What Pat is explaining is that, that it's probably been that way for the longest, and there's evidence all over the place. There's a news article that came out recently about how
Okay.
much money is just vanished.
Then
you
let's
know,
say
and
he broke the illusion.
They don't have no accountability at all,
But there is no real illusion. Like I mean,
Exactly.
and
but
we
no
it's never had.
accountability.
No.
We talk about the banana wars and the CIA and
Do you
even
understand?
Vietnam.
Do you understand why I'm saying
But
all of
look-
these things that have come up in all of this? What I'm saying is he has said this publicly. This is on public record. He committed what I consider treason
Well,
because he took command of the military away from the civilian president. Now,
Well, but
I get why he did it, and I'm not saying it wasn't the worst idea considering the guy in charge,
the temperament,
but,
no.
that was treason. He needs to resign.
All right, but see, my whole point is, all right, when we're talking about the military and the civilian that who's ever going to be the head, the HNIC, the head fool in charge.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta
Better
give
descriptor
the
for
order-
Clinton than Trump.
They gotta they gotta give the orders to somebody. So yes, it's gotta go through the general first. So I mean, because he said it, does that make it any different than what it has always been?
Yes. Because he said, only through me. I am in charge no matter what he says. If 45 had gone to the Navy directly and said, I need you to do this,
Well, let me
they
ask
went
this.
and asked him, that is
Let me ask you
subordinating
this.
of the military hierarchy, that is treason.
All right, let me ask this though. Because if we have a president that everybody trusts and love and is just confident in, and he gives an order that is ridiculous, but because he has public public support, should he follow through and just take the order, even though he knows it puts everything at stake?
Absolutely not, because part of the military oath is defending the Constitution and is doing what is right. And you
Okay,
have the ability to say, no, I won't do this.
But that
You
is
do
pretty much
not
the
have
same
the-
thing that he's saying.
No,
That's the
you
same.
do no. You do not have the ability to say, you can't do this without my permission or without my authority. He took the authority away. And that's where I have the problem.
But he
I
will,
kind
but
of,
that's
like
what,
I said,
but
I'm
if
kind
it,
of
but
on
if
his
it's a
side
bad
for doing
idea,
it, which is why I say he should resign and not be charged with treason.
but that's the thing. All right, you're talking about him making the, because see, the only difference that you're making is the fact that he spoke it
He
out loud.
violated his oath to the Constitution and to the country and to the president.
All right, maybe that's my problem. I don't know what the oath is. Because I mean, I'm saying, like, because to me, whether
That
he
is something
voiced
we should probably look into for a show.
whether he voiced it or not,
The oath
if
that the
he
president
gets
and
a
go ahead. That was a woo
yeah,
moment.
yeah. Well, regardless, if he is, making this decision, whether he had voiced it previously or not, he's still taking an action that is taking the will or the power from the chief. So I mean, I don't know how it harms any other way, because I mean, if he gives a good order and he goes through with it, I mean, it's still an order that was made by the chief. I mean, it's just
sorry.
I don't know if it really makes that big of a difference whether he voiced it or not.
It does, because it's about the Constitution and the power structure.
Well shit.
We are not a military government. We are a civilian government. When the military says it doesn't matter what the civilian government says, we're going to do what we're going to do. And yes, I understand how much is proven that it happens that way. But when it becomes a matter of public, that should be a concern to everyone. The person who was in charge of the military that says, I don't care what the president says, you're going to do it my way. I'm going to warn China. I'm going to warn Taiwan. I'm going to warn whoever if the president is going to do something that I think is stupid. That completely usurps the entire idea of the presidency and the entire idea of the three branches of government and the military not being a civilian. Technically, the military is a civilian arm of the government. It is not a war arm. It is not there is no department to take care of it. It is a civilian entity and should always be. Now, it is owned within its own rights and its branches and everything, but ultimate control should be under civilian authority always, and not military authority. Except, of course, in times of crisis or whatever the hell it's called, lockdown crap, martial law, which, that's not much beyond our control anyway, but that's another subject.
I can't stay on that long. I want to wrap on some spiritual stuff. Y'all, check this out.
Está desapareciendo. El conocimiento siempre se pasa así.
I'm gonna read it.
Todas las transmisiones.
I really wanted to start at the beginning. I'm gonna just start wherever it says. The kitchens are electric. There are only microwaves in some homes. So everything is disappearing. Everything that holds the family together. And so if the family is not united, everything disappears. That was the end of it. It's very complicated now because in the big cities, very few people see the sunrise. Very few people know of the moon or the new moon. And these are the orientations, the directions that have for living here. They are fading. They are becoming lost. It is very important that people do not get lost on this path. That why we are together. We do these gatherings. Each one explains how they see a part of the story that is happening. in order to preserve everything for future generations. Because if not, it's lost. Because the elders, who are the transmitters of great knowledge, the majority are in nursing homes. Children from a very young age are raised in nurseries. The bridge of transmission between grandparents and grandchildren is disappearing. Knowledge was always passed like this in older times. All transmissions were done around a fire. Where is the fire now? The kitchens are electric. There are only microwaves in some homes. Okay.
Pareciendo de lo que
What do y'all think? Comments.
Dude, when I buy a place, I fully 100% on having gas stoves and heat and all that stuff. I mean, I know it's still a little off of that, but it's still at least fire, real fire.
I agree with that. I hate the central heat. It's like it sucks the air out of the room. Like I can't breathe. You know, I don't like the central heat. Like as far as
I'm
out of the
still
air
gonna do.
conditioner.
I'm still gonna do the central heat, but it's gonna be a heat pump instead of the air conditioner.
Yeah. So I'm saying it wrong. Yeah, I don't like how it comes
It's
out.
still about dehydrating the air to cool it off.
Yeah. So it's probably something really spiritual with the flame, right? The actual fire, you know. And that's why probably we like the barbecue and stuff. Like it's like meat tastes different.
Beavis said it best: fire, fire, cool, fire.
And it's a thing that brings us together and holds us together. And I like what she was saying, you know, the separation, the old people in the nursing homes, the babies in the nurseries, and it's like this disconnect is going on. This lack of transfer of knowledge, this lack of transfer of, like, I don't know, emotion, feeling, this connection, the bond, being separated. And that manifests in society as a whole with all of the craziness that's going on in the world, which could be simply fixed by having grandma and grandpa in the same house with you and keeping the babies close, not putting them apart either, keeping us all together and allowing the older generation to transfer knowledge to the little babies. We was talking about before about how, like, one of the hugest struggles that families with children have is daycare. It's a huge burden and it's so super expensive. And then, you know, paying for people to go into old folks' homes, that's really expensive. So, but then you could have situations like how it was in the past where the old folks are in the home and they watching the kids and they teaching them, taking care of them.
Yeah, but if you got to watch the old folks and you got to watch the kids and you put them together, that's not necessarily the best mix.
Yeah, so but how did we get here? Like, it's the food, you know, the drugs, the stressful life. How did we get to the point where the old people aren't able to, like, take care of themselves, if you will, or, you know, maybe I'm not saying it right, but you know, not as, you know, capable. But I don't think that that's all of them. I think a lot of them are the families. You know, the way our society is set up, you know, you just look out for yourself. You just put the old folk away, put them out of sight.
Gen X is getting old. Gen X is the one going into the rest homes next. We're the last generation that was actually taught how to take care of yourself or to take care of others. So it is now becoming a calling or something like that. And that is why nursing and hospice care and things like that, that's why the number of those jobs are starting to go through the roof. I mean, you have the largest generation, the boomers and X, are dying off. As they die off and go into hospice, if they hadn't screwed with our Social Security, here's the thing about that. The Social Security would be making a profit if they didn't keep taking money from it. But that's why right now, if you look in the jobs wanted and things like that, nursing careers have been the highest needed careers for the last 20 years. And it's going to get even more and worse as it goes along.
Y'all there? My bad, y'all. I'm freaking starving. I'm trying to make myself something to eat.
Yeah, no problem. I knew I could babble through that little pause, but I also knew better than babbling through that pause.
My bad. How long was it?
Yeah, 220, something like that.
Damn it. Freaking I wanted to do the spirituality, but China protest China.
I'm assuming you covered the Apple plant that the workers busted out of. Okay.
Yeah, we could talk about it more because I don't know because they're kind of
U.S. moves to the fucking soccer World Finals. We're in the top 32. Just to let you know. Don't care about soccer so much, but go USA. We're in the running.
Go USA.
At least until we meet a South American country and they kick the shit out of us.
Yeah, so but the thing with China and I think the way they're reporting it, they leave a lot of the details out. It's like they had these barricades in the buildings so that you literally couldn't leave.
They broke out. They rioted, like rebelled. It was like no slave labor shit. I mean, yes, China, modern slavery. Love your iPhone, don't you? Fuck you. Sorry. There's a reason why I do not have an iPhone.
Yeah, man. Damn it, it's just freaking music in there. I want to play a quick clip before so I can go do this. Hold on. What is this? MSN? MSNBC? What is this? No, this is not what I want. Fuck. Anyways, what's been in the news? What did you see, Doc? What's been on your mind? if you was doing a show, what would you do? What kind of content would you produce? I have this couple of clips. I can't find what I'm looking for, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm kind of lost. I want to play something right quick so that I can do this, and then we're going to wrap it. This was China right here. How long is this clip? Yeah. Yeah. You can't just keep people all locked up forever. Like, they're going to lose it. They don't have nothing to lose. There's this clip I wanted to play, and then I guess we're going to wrap it after that. Here it is right here.
Parce que la France n'a
Oh, damn it. Is it not in English?
La France n'a pas le carburant. Parce que la France n'a pas le cacao.
And I don't feel like reading the caption. Damn it. Anyways, y'all. I think I'm going to wrap it. Did I lose y'all? I done lost everybody. I think I'm going to have to wrap it. Where y'all at? So we can say bye, I guess. Y'all there? Because I'm about to burn this fucking food. I'm going to have to wrap it, Doc. I got class in the morning anyways. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I was muted and had to use the restroom real quick.
The mic sounds wonderful. I'm gonna have to wrap it. I got class in the morning, and I'm about to burn this food that I'm trying to cook. Yeah. So can you be back tomorrow? What you got going on tomorrow?
I just work till 9 or so, 10. Be home 11 or 12.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to be on around that time for you, man. I'd love to see you here, and I'll be more organized.
Well, like I said, now that I told you I was needing to get my tech together, and I got my tech together, so
yeah.
I'm actually about to start doing some work. I'm trying to get go on Audible and read books and stuff like that. And anytime people listen to my book, they'll pay for it.
That's cool,
man. I get a few cents.
That's cool.
I mean, whatever, whenever.
Rumble monetizes right away. So
well, I had to get something that could handle my voice because
and Rumble is free too.
All this crap that we used obviously wasn't working. And
but I'm gonna have to wrap it. I'm burning my food. Peace and love. I'll be back tomorrow.
Peace.